Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Rodney.
Good morning. How you doing there, Nina?
I'm doing pretty good. Good morning, AC. Nice to see you there in the comments. You're
Yeah,
watching the chat session lineup on the This Way Network, and we're so pleased to have you with us this morning. Lots
yeah.
going on in the world right now. Rodney, how was your weekend?
It was really wonderful, really wonderful. I actually had a meeting with a colleague of mine, and so it's really a very very interesting uh, thing. There's a lady, and her her brother actually is over in I believe it's over in Australia, over in Australia,
Mm.
and so we're gonna have to have him on because he actually has created something, and this is his book. And I know it's a very unique. He actually has transformed, and he created creative kinetic, and basically he takes watch parts, little
Hmm.
bitty minuscule watch parts,
Hmm.
and it looks like just a big pile of trash. But when he's done, it's a very one-off creative work of art, and all of the parts are moving, and he connects all these things, and so, and it's very very unique. And so I had met with his sister of all things, and so his sister is here in California and wants me to kind of handle some of the marketing behind some of the
Oh.
art pieces. And
Hmm.
these are kind of like really rare one-off pieces, but he has created things, and it's all from watch parts. And so it's like, here's an example. I'll give you a look. See, this is like a piece of the art, and if you look at it really carefully, they're all watch parts, but this is like a peacock,
I was going
literally
to
a
say,
peacock.
I think I see some peacock feathers in there. So this
It
is,
is.
he's made like a peacock out of
He
watch
made it
parts.
out of watch parts. And so the whole interesting thing is we'll be probably interviewing him, and he is a very unique fellow. And so we'll have to talk about that. But I had a great time. I was also with a colleague of mine, and
Mhm.
there's an organization here they do, and it's like Hope for Health. I think that's what it was, Hope for Health.
Mhm.
And they and it's an African doctor that's here in Southern California, and all of these people came together because it's her mission to be able to get health care and things to Africa, because there are so many people who just don't have health care there. And it was really amazing. And her push and her whole life, and her or she was born in Chad, and so
Mhm.
they had all these beautiful elaborate dancers and a multicultural uh just people in gowns and all these other things, and it was really wonderful. So I had a pleasure of meeting them, and hopefully they'll be coming on the show. But yes, you're right, there's a lot going on in the world, and so there's been a big exchange between Israel and Palestine, I guess you could say. And
And
so,
yeah, and Gaza. Yeah,
and
for
Gaza,
sure.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people have started going back home to Gaza, what's left
Yeah. Yeah.
of their homes, but the U.S. is there, or I think it's the UN,
Mm-hmm.
clearing roads in Gaza,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
creating pathways. Already this morning, 7 hostages were released
Mm-hmm.
to the Red
Yeah.
Cross, and they're going to be on their way back to their families. So we're real excited about that. And
Yeah.
included, I was reading about who they were, those
Mm-hmm.
particular hostages. And of course, all of them have been hostage since October 7th.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So of 2 years ago, 2 years
Mhm.
that they've
Yeah.
been hostages.
Yeah.
And among them were two brothers who are actually twins.
Wow. Can you imagine?
And they were separated, they were not kept together.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a very tight relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
miraculously, both of them survived, and they're being released together,
What a blessing. What a blessing.
which was I
Yeah.
can't imagine how it feels to see each other again,
And the
you know,
joy for the
and their
family.
families. Yeah, and
Yeah,
can you imagine a family that is missing more than one family member?
of course, of course.
So, yeah, this is just tremendous. And
Mhm,
as part of the exchange, I read,
mhm,
I think they said there's 200 hostages left.
mhm. Yeah,
And in exchange for those, 2,000 Palestinians who had been detained during the war
right.
are going to be released.
Yeah. I mean, this is unprecedented, literally, and this
Mhm,
is something that, hopefully the world can see how things can be, when people
mhm,
decide
mhm.
to communicate and instead of fighting and things like that. And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
fight has been going on a long, long time. But thank
it
goodness that,
has.
lives have been spared and at least
Mhm,
and hopefully the recovery can start. I mean, and it's gonna take a
mhm.
long time for
It is.
pieces to be put back together on both sides.
Mhm. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
And some people, for some people, it won't be put back together because they've lost family members
Oh,
and
sure.
loved ones, and, the situation for them is totally different now. And I'm
Mhm.
sure it hasn't fostered trust, what's been
Yeah.
happening the last several years, and knowing that they're neighbors and they have to live together.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, just not sure what's
Well,
gonna happen.
but it's also creating an opportunity where people can really see how much they
Mhm,
need one another, and it really gets down to mankind. We all,
mhm,
there's so many different doctrines and how people see things and what people really think. But the one thing that is true is we're all brothers and sisters, and sometimes we
mhm,
don't act that way.
mhm,
There's a lot of things that people beg to differ on that, but the whole thing is, you know, we're just all flesh and bones.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
I gotta hand it to President Trump.
Mhm.
Whatever you may think of him, this is
Mhm.
the 8th war or conflict that
Mhm.
he has been responsible for putting an end to across the globe.
Yeah. Well, I
So
mean, he's the president, so he's in the seat, and man, he's making stuff happen, and
he is. He is.
unique things that need to be done are
Mhm.
happening. So,
Yeah.
and really, that's why we should constantly be praying for our leaders around the
Mhm.
world, that they
Mhm.
understand and that they follow some basic principles of mankind.
Mhm.
Because I
Mhm.
mean, I'm telling you, none of us are, you know, more special than the next. We're all in it, and it's something to see people. Um, and there are going to be some incredible conversations. I guarantee you, when people start talking and say, "Was all this necessary?" And I think there's going to be a lot of stories. Can you imagine the stories of triumph and people who literally were pulled out of the rubble and said, "I was sitting here having a cup of coffee, and then this happens." And so, and
Mhm.
the stories of will and prayer. Could you imagine? It's just almost
Mhm.
it's too much. It really is.
It gives me hope, though, to see all
Mhm.
these things happen in so many places where it
Yeah.
seemed impossible, and it gives me
Mhm.
hope that something will happen with Ukraine and Russia to end the war there,
Yeah, and
because there's
a big prayer goes out to the people there in Tennessee where they had the big
Oh,
explosion that
yes.
happened, and it's
Yes.
very sad. They were at that munitions plant, and
Mhm.
they still don't know what happened, but there was a big explosion that just leveled the
Mhm.
building, and so they said that it seems that nobody survived.
No survivors. No
Yeah.
survivors at all. So, the last I heard that there were, I don't, and I'm confused about this. I'd like to look this
Mhm.
up again, but
Mhm.
the last I heard was they said that 18 were dead, and then they had like 16 missing.
Yeah,
And then
they
they
said
came
they
out and
were
said all 16 of those
mhm.
were confirmed dead too. So, but they weren't the
Right.
same ones, right?
No. I believe, and I was listening to it too. They thought it was 18, but two people hadn't shown up yet. So there were two people
Oh,
who hadn't got there before the explosion. So,
oh, good.
Lord,
What a day
you
to
know,
be late. Hmm.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So there were two people who were supposed to be there that weren't,
Hmm.
apparently. So,
Yeah.
yep.
And that was in a little town just outside of Nashville called
Mm-hmm.
Bucksnort, Tennessee. Isn't
Wow.
that an interesting name?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, and again, they said that they were making explosives for our military. So, you know,
Hmm.
they were, I guess, doing
Hmm.
a good deed. And so hopefully all the family members of the people know, I'm sure the president will be, going live and talking about it and sending his regards to the families and the
I'm
community, of
sure he
course.
will be.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure he will be. So, and there's still so many places, even in the United States, that are
Hmm.
still recovering from big things that happened. You know, East Tennessee
Hmm.
and North Carolina, Western North Carolina are still
Oh,
recovering
yeah.
from the hurricane that was a year
Hmm.
ago.
In the
And there's
flood.
still so many areas, yes, the floods,
Mhm.
and there's still so many areas that have not been rebuilt. You know,
Well,
roads might be open, but
hmm
can you imagine what it's like every morning to get up and you still see the evidence of the disaster around you? You know,
yeah.
things not rebuilt,
Hmm.
debris not even taken away yet, and
Yeah.
everything you knew just totally changed.
They were
And
talking.
that's for
It
the
was
ones that still have a home.
Yeah, that's true. And they were talking about the news here where the wildfires hit here in the Pacific
Yes.
Palisades, and they say that there are just a few people who have started to rebuild in the same
Mhm.
area where their homes were burned down. And so
Mhm.
they went live and they showed, and it was just like little pocket. I mean, just like
Mhm.
a few houses. And I mean, this whole area looks like it was just, you know, everything's gone.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that was
everything's
predicted, wasn't it? Right after the fire, they were predicting that most of these people were not gonna be able to get back in and rebuild, for one thing, because of all the permits they were gonna need
mhm,
and how slow that process was gonna be.
mhm.
And, and then, you know, it's not gonna be the same neighborhood because there are already, big development companies coming in and buying up people's homes pretty
Right.
cheaply, and, so that they can make something different there.
Yeah, the whole landscape, anytime that there's a big catastrophe like that, and some even in the cities that you're talking about, it's not gonna look the same. Everything's
Mhm,
gonna be different, and just the whole layout, and it's gonna take years for these areas to rebuild, be it through flood or whatever. And so,
mhm.
yeah, that's
Now I
why
heard
we
there was
all.
an arrest made,
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
yeah.
in California, and they said that apparently this was a young man, and they said that he was a Uber driver, or he drove and he did, this type of, rideshare kind of stuff or food delivery,
Mhm,
and they said, and apparently they probably pinged him, and he went there to that spot where that fire. I How they could put something like that together, they did, but apparently, the young person was arrested, and just don't know. I couldn't imagine, but they
mhm,
say from what they're saying that he went there and he had been researching some, things online about, a city on fire or something like that, and then they
mhm, mhm.
they said he started a fire. So I'm like, Lord, you know, what would possess a person to do something like that? If he did indeed do that, something. It's terrible.
Mhm. I think I
Yeah.
read something about, also that he had posted something online That,
Yeah.
while he was there in that area, he had posted something online. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
and then I
again,
think he also posted video of himself running away from the fire.
well, that's a person is definitely wanting to be in trouble because, and then it's
Mhm.
sad that he would take that direction and do something like that because that was definitely uncalled for. That's something that could
Mhm.
have been avoided, and I'm sure that all the people who were devastated from that fire, there's not enough justice in the world to kind of straighten that out
Mhm.
because people lost
Yeah.
everything, and I think they said 12 people perished in the fire, if not more. So,
Mm.
and then that not even talking the untold number of pets and things like that. So that's really
Mhm.
staggering.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the homes lost and the businesses lost.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of damage by one person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, hopefully there's some good things, and everybody is saying that, like I said, a lot of prayer needed. Yep, pray for peace in Gaza and Israel and Ukraine, U.S. and Poland. That's right. Everywhere, all around the world, we cannot say enough about prayer and what's needed all around the world. That's a fact. Yeah.
That's true. So StreamYard is doing something weird here, Rodney.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't showing me any of the comments
Mm-hmm.
until I clicked away to something else. I think I clicked on banners and came back, and then all of a sudden they're all there. That happened last week too. So
Hmm.
I don't know what the deal
Okay.
is with that, but now I can see the comments.
Good, good, good. Yep, there was a few good comments, and again, thank you to everybody, and AC Cruz, and all of our diehards, and the Dark Magician. Okay, well, thank you for being on. Yep, thank you for being on. And so, but yeah, I have to say we're there. It's some very interesting times when you look around and you see all the things that are going to go on, and hopefully the world is up for some big change and move forward. And can you believe how close we are to the holidays?
I know. I
Wow.
know. My goodness. But it feels like it's been coming for a while because all the retail stores have been having their Halloween stuff up since July. And
Yeah.
now I'm starting to see, actually last month, I was starting to see the Christmas stuff.
Oh
I
yeah. Well,
thought,
Christmas there.
we haven't even had Halloween. We haven't even had Thanksgiving yet.
I think that retail really pushes, and it is fact. It pushes the year along. You're not even
Mhm.
thinking about this stuff, and you start feeling this little. Your heart starts pounding, going, Have I gotten everything done? The year is almost over, and your heart's pounding. I'm like, gee whiz. But it is something that we are going to be in high gear here, and we'll have to have Mia Pyle back and Paint Unwasted. I'm sure she's got
Oh,
some
yeah.
great new insights on how to handle the holidays because, and again, Mia's big thing was,
Mhm.
don't let the holidays and the expectations of everyone or in society or whatever crush you and make you feel stressed. I
Mhm.
mean, and so she's always very clear about, you know, it's okay for you to say, I'm gonna just stay at home. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
engage. I'm not gonna go deeply in debt buying things. I'm gonna
Right.
keep it very
Right.
simple because that
Mhm.
takes a lot of stress off of you if and matter of fact, people really need to think about this. I mean, even for the holidays, yes, it's nice to exchange gifts of some sort, but that's not the real reason for the season. But you have to think soberly and wisely, and you think, the year is going to kick off, and do I need to have a little nest egg and keep a little bit set aside as we go into the new year with a
Mhm.
hope for a blessed 2026? And so a lot of times we need to think about that and say, maybe I'll go easy on the gift giving and kind of put a few put a few little things aside for yourself. I mean, and that's good for your
Mhm.
family
Mhm.
because you never know, when you're going to need a little bit of something for a rainy day. And so, how's your new place? You got moved? I see you. You seem like you got
I
everything
got
rolling.
moved, but yeah, I still got a lot of boxes to
Still got a lot of
unpack.
boxes.
Yeah, I
Okay.
still got a lot of organizing and so
Mm-hmm.
forth to do. So I'm working on it slowly, slowly. But I met
Yep.
a lot of nice people here. And yeah, I'm already part of a book club. And
Wow.
they have game night every Friday night in this complex, and all
Hmm.
ages come. And I've learned a bunch of new games that I never played before, which was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fun. And one
Well,
lady told me about something that I thought was very interesting.
mm-hmm.
I didn't get to go to it, but I sure wished I could have. She told me at
Mm-hmm.
their church,
Mm-hmm.
they were having a weekend event for, I
Mm-hmm.
think it was actually 3 days, 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it was for veterans. It was free for
Mm-hmm.
veterans. And the veterans got to come, and all these songwriters came down from Nashville.
Wow.
And they were helping the veterans
Mm-hmm.
work through some of the PTSD they have by helping
Wow.
them write songs about their experiences in the
Interesting.
military. And then they had a concert on the last
Mm-hmm.
night singing
Mm.
those songs.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you
I
get
thought
their
that was
information?
great.
I'd like to follow up with them. Maybe we could have some of those people on, especially performers who perform with a mission for a great cause like that to help our
Mhm.
military and help people in general with PTSD. You can be in, it's really sad. They say PTSD can be brought on by a lot of things. You don't have to be just in the military. There are people who just have traumatic experiences in their life and they have some form of PTSD. And
Mhm.
so, mental illness and mental health is one thing that we have to really just kind of hold on to and really, work at, maintaining a solid foothold on that.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
today, mental illness is so rampant, and you see every day you turn on the news and
Mhm.
you're like, oh no. And so,
And
there's good reason.
I think part
Mm-hmm.
of what happened
Mm-hmm.
with that, I think there's always been, and everyone, they say everyone at some point in your life, you're gonna have a place where you have mental illness and then
I get it.
recover from it, just like you have physical illness and then you recover.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think everybody goes through, certain seasons, but
Yeah.
you don't wanna get stuck in those
Oh
seasons,
no. Yeah,
you
you
know?
don't want to get stuck on Daffy Duck. You don't want to be walking
Yeah.
around talking like Daffy, for
Yeah,
sure.
but I think the pandemic really contributed to more people going through it at the same time than ever
You know,
before.
this people said just being locked up in your house with people, and then there are some people who it created paranoia. Like, should I go outside? I can't go outside. And they felt the pressure of that. And then there were some people who just were relentless, and they said, "I'm going out," and they just
Mhm,
rode around and just were out. And yeah, I remember that feeling. I remember that feeling of well, I had a colleague and his name is James Andrew Luna. He's a tailor and he's in La Habra, California. And so James actually took me to the event. Actually, we met uh Stevie Wonder Jr.
mm.
He
Junior.
was the DJ. So he was DJ Wonder. So DJ Wonder was actually spinning the background music at this, this fundraiser. And and also, gee, I got some great people. Met Muhammad Ali's daughter. One of Muhammad Ali's daughters was there, and
Mhm,
so she's big in community and family and helping people. And so she was there talking about her dad, and they played this video, and so she had these, I mean, rare clips of her dad and him talking, and I was like, oh, the greatest champion of all. And I was like, wow. And so but I was able to
Float
meet
like a
her.
butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yeah,
I
man, I tell you,
remember. Yeah,
yeah, he was a showman. I mean, that's
he
really what it
was.
was, and he took the art of boxing and all of the mental boxing, because that's what he prepared.
Mhm.
First of all, was to I'm the greatest of all, and I'm the greatest, and nobody can beat
Because
me.
he was amazing at psyching out his opponents, I think.
Yeah, 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 and psych them out and knock them out. That was pretty.
Yep.
That was kind of the plan. Psych them out and knock them out. So
Yeah, I think it was just enough to put some of them on their back foot and be thinking, "What? What
yeah,
what's
well
going
he
on here?" Yeah.
yeah not well his record showed that he could do it, but you know
Mhm.
then of course he got knocked down a few times, and that was another thing, and so he had to power through that.
Mhm. Mhm.
People they got the upper hand on him, so it's
But
tough.
now
So
he ended up with,
Parkinson's.
was it Parkinson's? Yeah.
Hmm.
And some
And
people wondered if that had to do with all the blows he took to the head.
his daughter spoke about that, and she said that she felt that the healthcare was not as advanced, and she did say she thought that if he had been earlier detected, that they could have gave him treatment that would have prolonged and helped him
Mhm.
along. And so, but she said all through her childhood, she mentioned when she was around 12 years old, he already had started development. So she
Mhm.
said she grew up with him having Parkinson's, and as she grew older, he just kind of went through the whole process, and
Mhm.
so she said it was very normal for us to see him in that state. It was incredible to hear her talk about that. But yeah, and I got her business card, and so hopefully she'll be a guest on one day, and so she can tell her story. And amazing, amazing stories of family and triumph and all those type of things for sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
I love this
Mhm.
from Elvira. She says, I'm looking forward to Advent. Here are people during Advent go to churches at 6 a.m. for a service in the light
Mhm.
of lanterns they make by hand.
Ooh. Well.
That sounds
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. And Elvira, she's someone I know, and so she always she sends me every year the Christmas carols. She says there in Poland, the people go out and they really, 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 carol. And so as you walk through the town, and she said there's a beautiful town there called Torrin. And she says the people go and eat, and it's snow everywhere, and they're out, and it's like, I mean, snow, like real snow. And these people are out there going door to door and restaurant to restaurant, and they're standing out on the street and they're Christmas
Mhm.
caroling. So I was like, wow. So yeah, hopefully, you
That
know.
was always one of my favorite things to do. I always
Mhm.
wanted to do it every year, but of course you don't wanna go out and sing solos. So I kept trying to get people to join me, and most of the time people were like, "No, I don't
You know
sing that
what? I
well," or
I
whatever.
do re I remember being a kid growing up in Long Beach, California, and they used to come through our neighborhood. I don't know who they were. I don't know where they came from, but they'd be like, knock, knock, knock on the door. Of course, daddy
Mhm.
would go and open the door. Can I help you? we
Yeah.
we like to sing Christmas carols. And my dad's like, really? You don't you don't have to do that. No, 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 we want to. My dad was kind of funny. He's like, what, how much do I need to pay you? Oh, no, 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 we just go
Mhm.
sing. So my dad was
Mhm.
like, hold on for a second. He'd shut the door and, hey, everybody. So we'd all go, and I remember peeping around my dad's leg, and I'm all looking, and they would be a pack of people on the doorstep, and they would sing a couple songs and leave. And
My
so we
church
thought,
used to do that every year. I loved it. I loved it. We would go out in the neighborhood around the church,
mm-hmm,
and, there'd be a group of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd let one of the kids knock on the door,
Right.
and we would stand off the porch, you
Right.
know, and then when they opened the door, we would just start singing. And then we
Right.
we always planned to do 2 songs, and we planned in advance while we were walking to the next house. We would plan what it was gonna be, and then we would sing, and usually what would happen, somebody would stand there and they'd be just kinda looking, and then they'd go get the family members, say, "You gotta come
Oh,
see this."
I forgot to tell you. True story. I believe it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago, near about 2 weeks ago. I had to go to this place to go, and it's in Palmdale, and it's a big house, and it looks like a castle. It literally looks like a kind of like a castle. It's all rock, and it's pretty far out. And so a colleague of mine told me to meet him there, and he told me, "Oh, but the driveway is like almost a mile and a half long, and so it sits really back off the road."
Wow.
So I got my GPS on. True story. And I go in. I'll have to pull the pictures up. I think I got them still on my phone. And the GPS, when you're on this highway, you get off the main highway and you're on these little feeder roads and you're going through the mountains. And I'm coming around this curve, and the GPS is terribly delayed. Do not believe GPS all the time, folks. So I turn this corner, and now the GPS is redirecting. So I turn around and I'm coming back, and there is the road that curved around. It was this other little road that went off the side of the road into a chain link fence. And I said, well, maybe these people didn't. They did say the driveway was long, and I said, and it's kind of secluded. So I unhooked the chain, and I drive in, and I hook the chain back. And I drive up about another 400 feet or so, and there's another chain, and it says, keep out, no trespassing. And I said, okay, they haven't come to unhook the chain because it is a private place, because, it's the state, so to speak. And there's 500 acres around it. So I pull in to the next gate, hook it back, and I'm on this road, and I'm driving in, and it's very uneven, and I'm driving in, and all of a sudden I turn this corner, and I can see over the hill, like a quarter mile away, the house. So I'm like, okay, there's the house. And then all of a sudden I look in my rearview mirror, I see a black van with black tinted windows coming, kind of hurrying along. I'm like, oh, these guys must be coming to get me because they know I've never been here. So I stop, the door flies open, and this guy jumps out with a shotgun and cocks it and comes running towards my car. And I thought it was a joke. So I roll the window down, and I'm like, hey, and this guy is screaming his head off. Get off my property. What are you doing on my property? I was like, wait a minute. Whoa. What's going on? And this guy runs up on my car, literally with a loaded shotgun. And a girl jumps out on the other side of the van. And I'm like screaming, just wait a minute. Whoa. What's going on? Well, hey, I thought it was them, my friends, playing a practical joke on me because, it is kind of close to Halloween. And I first had a smile, and I was like, my smile turned to concern. Seriously, because I seen this dude jump out and he cocks his shotgun, and I see this guy, and I'm thinking, I'm looking at him in my rearview mirror, and I'm like, who is this? And then it dawned on me. I said, wait a minute. I'm talking to this guy, and I'm showing my hands. I said, wait a minute, dude. Wait, listen to me. I'm trying to get to this house. He goes, you're on my property. I said, but the GPS took me. He said, you came through 2 locked gates. I said, I know. I thought they didn't unlock the gate for me. I said, wait a minute. You be calm. Let me turn around. I said, be calm, sir. I'm backed up. I said, look, I'm driving. And I'm talking to him the whole time out the window as I'm turning around. So let me get off your property. So this guy proceeds to follow me back to the fence. And he is just nasty. And I don't know who this guy was. And so sure enough, I get back out on the highway. The GPS I go back up the street and I slow down to like 20 miles an hour so the GPS could catch up. And then there was this other dirt. When I hit that first corner and I missed it,
Mm-hmm.
that was the road that leads you a mile almost back to this house.
Mm-hmm.
But that the direction of what I went in also was a feeder road, but it was on his private access.
Oh, gotcha.
Whew. Needless to say, that was I was like, it was a pretty hair-raising experience. But that my point to everyone, please make sure if you're going somewhere and you don't know where you're going, and here's the problem. The cell phone signal was so bad out there, so I didn't have any reception.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a strange thing, but I see how easily you can get way over your head if you don't know. And I was an honest person, and I told that guy, I said, hey,
Mm-hmm.
be cool, let me get off your property. I said, I'm sorry. I told him, I said, I apologize. I said, yes, I unhooked the chains, but I thought I was going. And I told the guy, and I said, look, do you see that house over there? I said, that's where I'm going. Where you're not going this way, you're on my property. Okay, wookie dookie. I'm like, gee whiz. So anyway, but
I'm
strange.
glad you made it out of that one alive.
Literally,
That's
yeah.
scary.
It was scary. And after I got out there on the road, I literally thank the Lord. I thank the Lord for his protection and holy angels and everything else being with me during that, and that the guy was calm. I don't know. But the thing that made me upset was I didn't want to cause this guy no problems, but I don't know what the heck. He on his property, which as I was going out, he had like 6 major trailers, like truck trailers, sitting like on the ground. And I'm like, well, what is this guy doing that he's so paranoid? And so, and he had a big house, but it was something going on in those trailers. I was like, I let it slide, but I'm still having my thoughts about that. But anyway, but it was something strange. He was awfully spooked about me being there. And apparently they must have some very sophisticated cameras or had lookouts watching that entry point. And I'm not driving at 60 miles down because the road was very rocky and uneven. So I'm creeping along over potholes in this dirt road. It was a scene out of a movie, seriously. Matter of fact, I will use it when I get to my future endeavors of filmmaking. I will be using that because it was a strange experience that I won't forget, for real.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I ever went through anything like that when we were out Christmas caroling, thankfully.
Yeah, well, yeah, that wasn't Christmas caroling, but yeah, but the thing about that, one of the best things, another thing from my wonderful city of Long Beach, I remember was they had the father-son pancake breakfast. So all the fathers in the neighborhood on the west side of Long Beach, everybody claimed to have the best pancake. My dad would say, oh, nobody's pancakes more fluffier than mine. And the guy across the street. So what happened was the fathers and the sons went to the park, and they had 3 or 4 long griddles, just these metal grills, and they started them up, and everybody was supposed to come with their pancakes. And then some people came with their own maple syrup, and some people made hybrid syrup, and it was a free thing. So the whole community came, and the fathers and sons were making pancakes for everybody. So it was, I'll never forget that. So people on the west side of Long Beach, California, will probably remember the old pancake breakfast at the park right off of Delta. So hopefully I don't know if they still have that. Maybe I'll bring that back and come back to my old community and bring the old pancake. But see, I'm a little more, I'm a little more creative. I'd get it sponsored by, get
there
the
you
old,
go.
yeah,
There
I'd get
you
it
go.
sponsored. And that I think, I need to zip that. I have a,
Rodney, I used to think I was the only kid on the planet growing up who did not like pancakes.
what? You
I
didn't like
did not
pancakes?
like no, I did not like pancakes. I hated it when we had them and, you know, but I found out why I didn't like
Right,
pancakes when I was
right.
in Girl Scouts.
Hmm.
So, our Girl Scout troop went camping, like, out in the
Mhm.
woods camping, and each, patrol in the Girl Scout troop was responsible for fixing one of the meals. Well, my patrol had we were supposed to cook breakfast.
Okay.
So, our leader had helped us do the shopping, and we were fixing, we were very ambitious. We were fixing eggs and bacon and pancakes and
Sounds
toast.
good.
And yeah, and so, but we were responsible for cooking it, and we couldn't eat until everybody else had finished.
Ooh.
So by the
Yeah.
time we cooked everything, and we were cooking over our little camp stoves, the
Uh-huh.
ones that we had made ourselves out of coffee cans and tuna
Mm.
cans with corrugated cardboard wound up in there, and then
Uh-huh.
wax poured in there. That was underneath, and
Mhm.
and then we had these big coffee cans that we had made vents in the side. We flipped them upside down, and we had put some vents
Right.
over in the top so the grease would pour out. And we
Wow.
cooked the bacon on there, we cooked the eggs on there, and we were feeding everybody. And by the time everybody else was fed, there was nothing left except pancake
Pancake.
batter. Well, I was
Ooh.
so hungry. I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to have to eat it because I am starving. I started eating it, and I was shocked to find out I liked them. So the
Oh,
first thing
okay.
I wondered was, well, what is the difference? And I went to my troop leader, and I said,
Mhm.
these are different than what we have at home. What's the recipe? Well, it turned out they were using the same thing we were. The difference was the syrup. Because
Oh,
we
okay.
had, I think, at our patrol had gotten log cabin syrup. At
Yeah.
home, we were using Karo syrup. You remember Karo
K-Roll.
syrup?
Oh, yeah, K-Roll. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really thick, and they had one that was supposed to be for pancakes and waffles, and I guess that's what
Mhm.
we used. But I did not like that syrup. It was the syrup that made me not like the pancakes. Once I got a different syrup, all of a sudden I loved the pancakes.
I have to tell you, I enjoy pancakes. I really do, and I take my time. It's a toss-up, but see, one thing that I found out a long, long time ago, yeah, K-Roll is heavy, very heavy.
Mhm.
I but you know what? I found out the other day I made a video and I was really saddened. In my adult age, I went to the store and I'm like, "I'm gonna get some pancakes," and I see Log Cabin and something said, "Rodney, read on the back of it." And, I'm like, "Maple syrup." And I went, and when I turn it around, I w not to throw 'em under the bus, the first thing you see is high fructose corn syrup. And I stopped, and I was so upset, and I started thinking, I've all my life, I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh, log cabin, oh, they're poking the
Mhm.
tree, and they're getting this really great."
Yeah.
And I was so upset, and I was literally standing there having a conversation with myself in the store with a can of or a bottle
Mhm.
of log cabin, and I actually went live on Facebook, and I said, "Hey, you know what? Everybody, I've been thinking all these years." I said, "I'm putting this stuff back," and then I go over to the next shelf, and they had more expensive, they had more it was more expensive, but it was real maple syrup. I really like the real stuff. And I mean, you could get 2 bottles, almost 3 bottles of the other brand that isn't
Mhm.
real maple syrup to 1 small bottle. And so, I guess you're not supposed to be eating pancakes that much, but
Yeah,
I
well,
ended up
maybe, but you know what? The real maple syrup has so much flavor, you don't need as much on your
and
pancakes.
and I also found out I said, "Well, so between adding a little fruits a lot, sometimes I will actually saute really thin sliced, apple. I'll put a little
Mhm.
butter, a little cinnamon in the pan, and kinda brown it. So when my pancake gets flipped, I kinda put that across the top, and then I do another crazy thing, which you gotta try it. If you haven't tried this yet, a little bit of peanut butter. on your pancakes. So
Ooh.
when you take them out, the next thing you do, you give it a thin coat of peanut butter, then pour your maple syrup on. Let me tell you something. That is a pancake. A little pancake with a
Oh,
little
I'm
peanut
gonna have
butter
to try
top.
that.
And it kind of gets, because the pancake's hot and
Mhm.
the peanut butter
And
kind
the
of
peanut
melts a
butter
little
kind
bit.
of melts and
Oh yeah. And
I
then the
never thought
syrup,
of doing that.
try
Yeah.
that. If anybody out there, if you
I will
want a
have
good
to try
pancake,
that for
the
sure.
Rodney
Yeah.
Rippey, that's a Rodney Rippey pancake. I put the little
Well,
peanut butter on. Yeah.
you remember what Cairo was famous for, right? It was not their
Yeah.
pancake syrup.
Okay. Was it the campsites?
No, Cairo was famous for making corn syrup that people
Corn syrup.
used in making pecan pie and stuff like that. It was
Right.
really, really thick.
It was
So
white
that's
and clear.
essentially
White and
yes, but
clear.
there
Okay.
was a dark one too. So you could get
Oh.
dark Cairo syrup or you could get light Cairo syrup, and that one was clear.
Mm-hmm.
It depended on what you were making, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
But
IHOP.
it was really, really thick, and I think
Yeah.
all they did was take their a little bit of their, dark Karo syrup and a little bit of their light Karo syrup, and I think all they did was mix it together and called it pancake syrup. Didn't taste like maple syrup at all, just yeah, and it was just
Too
too
sweet.
sweet, too
I
much.
Yeah, that's what I just can't handle, the overly sweet. Matter of fact, even in chocolate, I as a kid
Mm.
growing up, you're like, you love the chocolate. As I got older, I do not like milk chocolate. I don't like it.
Me either.
Way too sweet. So if I'm gonna have
Mhm.
a piece of chocolate, it's gonna be dark chocolate. And
Yes.
the better, the kind of little bitter bite. And plus they say it's supposed to be good for you too, better for you.
That's
So
true.
yeah, I
That's true.
don't like I just because the overly sweet stuff just like ugh. I'd rather have a piece of if I'd rather have an apple any day of the week other than milk chocolate. I
Mhm.
just don't like it.
Yeah.
Too
Yeah.
sweet. It just
I'm
mm,
with you there. I've gotten where I don't care for the super sweet stuff
right.
anymore.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart,
I was
smart,
looking
smart.
back up here,
Mhm.
Elvira was saying that Christmas Eve is magical there. She said we share bread. It made me think
Mhm.
about some of the things that my daughter keeps trying to get me to come over and visit her in Scotland during Christmas.
Do it.
Because she says, "Oh, mom, it's so wonderful here. It's just so magical. They have the Christmas markets, the outdoor Christmas markets like most of Europe
Mhm.
does, which we don't have
Right.
here for sure." But one of the things she told me, she said, "If you can't come for Christmas, come right after Christmas." I said, "For New Year's?" And she said, "No, but for January for sure."
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, Why would you want to go to northern UK in the
Mhm.
winter during January? What's going on?" And she said, "Because there's a lot happening here in
Mhm.
January." And one of the things she talked about, she said, "My favorite thing is Burns Night." And I
Burns.
said, what does that mean? Burns? Like you're
Mhm.
burning stuff or and she
Mhm.
said, "No, the poet
Oh.
Robert Burns." Yeah.
Mhm.
She said, "People get together on Burns Night," which I think is supposed to be his birthday or something.
Okay.
And she said they get together and, it's a time for people to assemble together. They light candles and they read poetry. She said,
Wow.
usually starts out with Burns, but it doesn't have to be Burns, but she said they just read to each other. And you
Wow.
know what it made me think of, Rodney? When I was growing up, uh, people read to each other a
Yeah.
lot.
Mhm.
It was a treat. When,
Mhm.
I was in school,
Mhm.
one of the things I loved the most was they used to teach us that after lunch, you were supposed to rest and let your food digest, you know?
Right. Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so what our teacher would do, my 3rd
Read.
grade teacher, she'd bring us back from lunch we'd all sit in our seats and she'd say, okay, I want you to put your head down on your desk. So we would, sit there with our heads propped up on our arms on our desk. And if we needed to go to sleep, that was fine with her. But she would sit and read a serial book to us,
Oh,
one
wow.
that had chapters and
Mhm.
and one of my favorite ones was called the Happy Hollisters. It was a group of kids who
Mhm.
were like solving mysteries together.
Mhm.
And she would read a chapter every day. And it
Oh,
was one of
okay.
my favorite things. I still remember it was one of my favorite things growing up. But
Right.
I saw something on Instagram the other day.
Mhm.
This guy was talking about how he said, are you one of those people who wishes, sees that in movies, musicals and stuff, people just break out and start singing? And they say, well, that's not real life. And he said, well, actually, it used to be real life
This thing
because
in the
that's what,
movie or in just in life?
no, he said in real life. And I really, this
Oh.
really registered with me because I thought, yeah, this was my life. When I was growing up, we
Mhm.
sang in my home. We didn't, it's not that we were good, we weren't, but
Mhm.
and we did have a piano, and sometimes we got around the piano and my mother would play and we would sing hymns together. But a lot
Mhm.
of times we were just washing dishes and one of us would start a song and the rest would join in. And in the car when
Wow.
we were going someplace, and
Huh.
we didn't have the stuff where you could watch a movie while you were driving or whatever. We're
Mhm.
just, kids sitting in the back seat. And so my
Mhm.
mother would start a song that she knew we knew,
Wow.
and we would start singing. And
Mhm.
sometimes she was teaching us a song, and sometimes we were
Mhm.
teaching her songs that we learned in school because you
Mhm.
had music class once a week and they were always teaching you a song. So, so we did a lot of singing,
Mhm.
and it was often spontaneous that way, and I
Wow.
loved it. And I still wish life was like that in a
Well,
lot of
it's funny.
places.
It's funny you're thinking about, well, now they call them a flash mob. Have you ever seen a flash mob?
Yes, I would
So,
love to see one of those in person. I have never
yeah,
had the joy of seeing one in person, but I see them online, and I'm like, that
yeah.
is so much fun.
Yeah, people, they get together and they'll go to a mall and there might be 50 people, and then all of a sudden they stop and they start singing and they'll go into,
Mhm.
sometimes it can be kind of disturbing because some people get very nervous when, something like that happens and people feel, because you're actually put in the middle of something that you might not want to be in the middle of. So some people
Mhm.
don't like that too much, but for whatever reason. But instead of seeing the beauty and the entertainment factor, but it's a pretty interesting thing. I've never been anywhere where they break out, but it's pretty interesting, when you see a flash mob.
Mhm.
But I guess you get, you know, back in the day, people. It was funny. My mom used to tell me about the drama hour. Do you remember the drama hour on the radio where
Oh,
they would?
yes.
And
Yes.
so people used to listen to the radio, and and they would tell these stories and the way the guy talked or whatever, and you'd be so engaged listening to the radio that
Mhm.
it created theater of the mind. So you were following this thing. And so I guess that, that the power of just storytelling and, you know, broadcast. And so hopefully, you never know, we might have to bring something like that back. I think that's a pretty interesting thing. And I guess that was the start of talk radio. So
Oh,
as we know it,
probably.
so many people enjoy talk radio. And so I guess it's just the emotion, and then it's basic. Now talk radio is topic driven. So now
Mhm.
people are all this, and Elvira said how lucky that all of these wonderful Christmas traditions around the world are because of the birth of God and of the child. Yeah, of course, of Christ. Yeah, of course. That is a wonderful thing. That's where we really should keep our
Mhm.
focus on the reason for the season, and but I think that's an interesting thing. My little puppy's barking. Hey, Mika. Yeah,
Oh, we are
little.
getting down to that time, aren't
Yeah,
we?
I think she's a little rambunctious in the morning. She likes to get out and go see all her friends in the neighborhood, I guess. But anyway, you
Well,
see this?
before we go, though, I want to tell
Yeah.
you, because we got about 5 minutes left. I
Okay.
want to tell you one interesting story that
Mm-hmm.
happened when we were out Christmas caroling one year.
Sure.
So we went up to this house and we rang the bell and we started singing.
Mm-hmm.
And these two people came out.
Mm-hmm.
They actually came out on the driveway to listen to us because we couldn't
Mm-hmm.
all fit. She didn't even have a porch. She just had a walkway and then the door. And
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't all fit there. So we actually stood out on the driveway. And they
Mm-hmm.
came out to listen to us. It wasn't terribly
Mm-hmm.
cold.
Oh,
And there was a
okay.
man with her.
Keep
And
talking.
when we
Mm-hmm.
got through singing, thanked us and so forth. And the man
Mm-hmm.
had an accent. And
Oh
he told
wow.
us he was visiting from
Mm-hmm.
France. And he said, I am so glad to see that you do something like this in America because we do this in Europe, but I didn't know you did it here. And he said, I very much enjoyed it. Uh, the only thing that could have been better is if you had sung something in French. And so the people around me were like, "Oh well, we don't know any song in French." And all of a sudden, I realized I do. I know a song in French. I know two Christmas songs in French that my sister taught me when she was taking French in high school. So, and I learned them phonetically because I don't know French. So, I guess I said something. I guess I said something like, "Oh, I know 2 songs in French." And he said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Well, sing them for me." And I thought, "Oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into?" Because now I'm singing a solo, you know? And I thought, "Well, okay, but, I'm not saying I sing well, but I'll sing what I learned." But as I'm singing it, I'm thinking, "What if my sister didn't learn it right? What if I'm actually saying something else that I don't know I'm saying? What if she played a joke on me and actually filled it full of words that I wouldn't want to be saying? Oh dear." But I went ahead and sang it the way I had learned it. And when I got through, he said, "I understood every word and it was very good. Thank you so much for singing for me in French." And I was like so relieved. And I thought, I have to tell my sister about this because she gets the credit. I don't even know, if you wrote it out for me, I wouldn't be able to read it. I just learned it phonetically from her. So I was so grateful that she had actually taught me that. And I think we've lost Rodney for a minute, but just want to shout out to my sister for teaching me two Christmas songs in French. One was Jingle Bells, and the other was The Divine Christ Child. You're muted, Rodney.
Uh-oh. Unmuted. Am I
Yeah.
unmuted now?
Yeah, you're unmuted now.
I heard bits and pieces. Sorry about that. I had the little emergency. Little doggy went crazy. I had to take care of the dog.
Oh,
But
well,
anyway,
good, good. I'm glad you
but
took
yeah,
care of Mika.
family, those wonderful memories when you think about things that happen. And yeah, those are all the fun stuff that I guess that makes the holidays. And so many times you hear of tragic things happening, just somebody burns the holiday meal or something goes crazy or there's a
Mm.
leak or something like that. There are those there are those stories, but then there's also those really heartfelt good memories that you get, from
Yeah.
the holidays and good things, and they stick with you. They
Yeah,
really
they
stick with
do.
you over the years. So
I
yeah.
think that's one of the things we all look forward to about the holidays is the connection we have
Mhm.
with other people. My kids have
Mhm.
actually told me that they like Thanksgiving much more than Christmas. And I asked them
Yeah,
why, 'cause
Thanksgiving is
Christmas
up.
was always my favorite. And they
Mhm.
said, because there's so much
Mhm.
pressure with the presents and the gifts and
Mhm.
things like that.
Yeah. I
What
like
we
the
like
food.
about Thanksgiving is that everybody gets together. There's always great food. They said, we know everybody
Mhm.
gets together at Christmas and there's
No.
great food too. But there's
Mhm.
also that pressure of bringing a gift and,
Doing it.
for different ones and getting the right thing. And
Shh,
then
shh.
you got to make time to open the gifts, et cetera. And they said, we like it better when there's just time to visit, just time to talk with each other. So
It's
now what are
Mika.
you saying wow to?
Oh, come here. Oh, it's Mika acting crazy. That's what it was. I'm
Aw,
sorry, I had to mute because she is being rambunctious as usual. So it's about that time. You know what? Do
yes.
you know I can tell her, give me 5 minutes? I can say, give me 5 minutes, give me five, and she'll be calm. See?
Mhm.
See? Give me 5 minutes. I need five. And see, I can put her down and she'll give me five. She literally, I'm telling you, I think this dog has a pocket watch. When I say give me five, she will give me five. You can almost time it and she'll come back in 5 minutes. And I try to adhere to the five. If I tell
Mhm.
her give me five,
Sure.
she'll literally give me five and she'll come back.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
she
amazing
and you
how they have that sense of time, you know?
yeah. Yeah. Have you ever, I really think I want to probably end up closing on this, but do you know, I really am amazed at how good the Lord really is and how dialed in we are. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if anybody else can do this. If I don't care how tired I am. I don't care what I've been doing at the night. If I have to get up in the morning and I set my alarm clock and I say, I got to get up at 7 o'clock. I got to be somewhere. I got an appointment. Do you know the Lord will wake me up at like 6:55? I mean, I wake up
Mhm.
before the alarm go off and I'm like, I'm in a deep, deep, deep sleep. And you wake up and you're like, you stir and you wake up and you're like, oh man, I wonder what time it is. And then you reach over and you grab the phone. And I mean, you're like 5 minutes off. And I'm like, how did I know to wake up? But that's why I say, hey, the Lord,
Mhm.
Lord takes care of you. Like, Lord, I need to get to this appointment, I need to be on time. And the Lord, I guess he is about order. And he's okay,
Mhm.
I'll grant you that little wake up. So every morning
And don't you
it's
love
something
that
to
too? Because
celebrate.
it's not the alarm waking you up. There's nothing
Yeah.
worse to me than being in a deep sleep and
And the
that
alarm went up.
alarm wakes you up, and it's just a
Yeah.
jarring way to wake up.
Yeah. Well, sometimes what? It's funny. I still have one of the old school uh uh clock radios that it turns the radio on. So if you
Mhm.
turn on some soothing music or something, it'll come on. And if you don't have it blaring, but I'm pretty sensitive to, waking up. I don't sleep too deeply, but I just turn it on a little bit. And so when it comes on, I hear music. And oh, it's about that time to get up.
Yeah, yeah. I've
Yeah.
actually got mine set so that what plays
Hmm.
is birds chirping.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
like, "I
okay.
love that. I love
Birds
that." It's like I'm
birds
waking up
chirping.
with the birds.
Okay. I
Yeah,
just think I feel a little cuckoo going chirp, 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 like, hmm. But
yeah,
okay, I guess it's okay, and then everybody's different.
yep,
Not not
everybody
wrong with
is.
having little birdies.
Well, I guess it's time for us to close today, Rodney.
Yeah, I guess it's about that time. Everybody, you've been watching the chat session on the This Way Network. Thank you for coming in every Monday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. That's 10:30 Central, right?
Mhm.
10:30 Central and
That's
11
right.
Eastern. And so, and around the world, there are different time zones. So thank you for uh, being with us. And again, God bless your family. Have a great week. And hopefully you'll see you next week and we'll have another wonderful guest and hopefully something interesting to share with you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today, and I hope you have a great week and be of good courage. God is with us, and we
Mhm.
aren't alone. Bye, everybody.
Amen. See you later. And God bless Israel and everything going over there in the Middle East.
Amen.